Hey, this is Chris talking. Aruba, Nektar's beat composer, drum pad controller, whatever you want to call it. It's this model is the Aura version, which is the older version. Copyright things going on, so they've actually changed the name to Aruba. Exactly the same for all intents and purposes, and the important bit is the new software for it, which is the Nektarine, which is the VST or AU host. What they've actually done is added some features, and the features include some drum creation plugins of their own. So first of all, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what's going on. The DAW control actually allows me to jump around with what's going on in my DAW. In this case, I'm using Logic. But what you can see here is the ability to set up the cycling, the range of the cycling, which is 16 bars, just to give me something to work with, the tempo and all of that sort of stuff, which can all be controlled from the front panel here rather than having to quick jump up to your mouse and your DAW and all that sort of stuff. There is an internal assignable foot switch. I can switch between tracks, and I can also switch between the patches that the plugin that's on a particular track. In this case, I've actually got the Synth Pro plugin running on screen, which you can see up on my screen there, and I've actually got the desktop version of the Synth Pro in front of me, and this is a really nice way of integrating the hardware synth with the software. In this situation, I've got I'll grab my plug-in there, and what I'll actually have is the ability to jump around on here and real-time control a hardware synth, plus obviously if I put the DAW into record mode, I can record automation of all of these functions that I'm playing with. For example, make that a bit nastier. This combination of a high pass and a low pass filter gives me all sorts of interesting capabilities within the synth, within its plug-in, and of course within the control that I've got on screen here with the Aruba. And I can do things like, of course, my oscillator tuning, which is knob 5, and oscillator 3 tuning. Now these parameters that we're looking at here are just parameters that I've actually selected from the choices in the Nektarine software. You get a list of everything that's in a plugin, and you can just drop them on the control functions that are actually available to me over here. Things like oscillator sync. Here we go, try this. I'll switch that off again. Oscillator 3. Now that's tuning is going to be a little bit wacky there, so I'll pull that down again. So basically, that's the ability to host a VST within Nektarine, map out all its controls, and decide what you want to do with all of these knobs and functions and stuff that you have available to you. This is the same sort of thing that you can do with the Panorama T-Series. The Panorama T-Series, the Aruba X Aura, and the GXP series all have the Nektarine as a free download. Of course, the GXP doesn't have pads, so this part of it is pointless with the new drum plugins and stuff like that. But what I will actually do is we'll switch over. Now, I'm just going to shut down the screen, and I'm also going to switch. So I'll go back into my DAW control there and switch my track to my kit. And right, I have my kit available to me. I'll switch that off again. We'll go down to the plugin. And now I'll open up the plugin again, and so we can get a map of my Now, from my point of view, I like the combination of real samples of the real drums plus the new plugins that are available. So when you download this new version of the Nektarine software, what you actually get is the DP1, which is the drum player one, and it's a sampler, or a sample player, sorry. You can drop whatever samples you've got from anywhere into it and make up a kit that suits yourself exactly. In this case, I like that real kick, and I also like the hi-hats, and I like, I've got a sort of semi-short crash, and I've got a ride. Now, if you actually watch what's going up on the computer screen, you'll see my soul ride, my crash. Got some nice hi-hats going on in the kick. Now, my snare is the S1 snare, which is actually the electronic snare. And that one there is the K1 kick, which is the electronic kick. And of course, I've got my toms. Now, what I'll do is I'll jump across to the main rack. And if you have a look at my rack mode there, you can see at the top is the DP1. DP1 is the drum player. And I've got that kick drum loaded in there. Now, the good thing about the DP1 player in itself is all the functionality is opened up on my screen for the DP1, and the functions are really, really mind-blowingly fun. You can play with the pitch, of course. Take the edge off if you feel the need to have an attack like that. You've got decay control. Slope, drive, envelope to filter, cutoff, of course, and there are a few functions that you'll find are rather interesting, like there is a compressor involved, and this button here, which is the 1982 button, all of your samples are going to be of a high quality for the most part, and if you like the idea of playing the old drum machines, the Emus and the DMXs, etc., you know, SP1200s and all that sort of stuff, you can actually step down the bit rate by putting... so it's turned it into a 1982 kick drum, if you like. In this case, I want them full quality, so I'm not going to mess with them. But what you actually have is the ability to alter that bit rate, so you can really, really decimate the quality of the kick drum, the snare drum, whatever you want to use in the DP1 player itself. Now, I have put together a quick bass line to mess with. That'll do for the purpose of the exercise, give you an idea of what you can create, the control that you have available to you, and 500 plus sounds come with Nektarine's new version, plus those really nice plugins that allow you to actually get into the control of your snare, your kick, your toms, and then you can marry that up with sampled cymbals, or you can create noise splashes with the snare and all sorts of tom synths and stuff like that. So there's a lot of capability going on in here. Thanks for listening. I'll come back again and talk more about the plugins.